1 Samuel 11 and 12. Well, the people of Israel have demanded a king, and Samuel has taken that as a step backwards from really what they should be doing in trusting Yahweh fully for their future as a nation. But Samuel has been told also by God, well, give them the desire of their heart. And so he anoints Saul. He's a Benjaminite, an otherwise unknown character before chapter 8. He anoints him both publicly and privately. And that's where we find ourselves now in chapters 11 and 12. I had asked you to watch for this idea, is Saul a Yahwist? Because again, when we're coming out of the book of Judges, if there's one thing that's clear in that book is that Yahwism as a belief system, as a loyalty issue, was gone. And so I would never presume, unless the text made it clear, that someone, even a Saul, even the first king of Israel, is necessarily a Yahwist unless I'm told by the text. Well, we come into chapter 11, and what happens is the people of Jabesh-Gilead, which is probably relatives of Saul. Remember, he's a Benjaminite, and many of the wives of Benjaminite men are Jabesh-Gilead women. That's from the end of Judges. So anyway, Saul saves the city of Jabesh-Gilead from some Ammonite oppression, and they want him to be their king. And again, Samuel publicly anoints Saul one more time in Gilgal. Chapter 12 is a key chapter in this sense. Samuel comes to the people, and I've written, this is Samuel here, and this is Saul. Remember, he's head and shoulders above everyone else. This is Saul and the Israelites. And what happens in chapter 12 is Samuel says in front of Saul to the people several things by way of challenge. And I've written them out there, but I want to quickly recite them to you, because think again of the question that we need to consider, and that is Saul's relationship to Yahweh. Verse 14, if you fear Yahweh and serve him and obey his voice and do not rebel against the commandment of Yahweh. Verse 15, if you do not obey the voice of Yahweh, but rebel against the commandment of Yahweh. 20, do not fear, you have done all this wickedness, yet do not turn aside from following Yahweh, but serve Yahweh with all your heart. 21, and do not turn aside, for then you would go after empty things which cannot profit or deliver, for they are nothing. One of the favorite ways of the prophets to mock the power of these other gods. And then verse 24, only fear Yahweh and serve him in truth with all of your heart. The point being, if there's one thing that Samuel is telling the people and Saul to do in this kingdom, if there's one thing, right, to do, it's not just to be a good king with good laws and wise administration and that sort of thing, although that's good. But you can tell from the verses I read and from the emphasis that Samuel's giving, what is the one thing God is asking this king to do in front of his people? Well, in the next 3 chapters, our next reading, I'm going to tell you the story ahead of time. Saul is rejected as God's king. Within 3 chapters, he's going to be rejected. See if you can see in the text why that happens.